Hello everyone! This is a new video and we continue to work on my RV10 build. So, what we stopped on last video. So basically I cut the opening for the rear air inlets. I installed a fuel valve switch from end air. And I did some other stuff. So in this video, and what I'm planning to do now is to I plan to get my my air inlets in the back attached on the tank sealant. The only problem with the tank sealant is that the one I have is about, I would say about 8 months old, not old, but after expiration date. But I kept it in the fridge at all times. So basically it was in the fridge at all time, and it was like around 0 degrees Celsius temperature. I don't know if it's still good or not. I'll probably make a test. Well, air inlet is not that critical part in terms of the attachment, so it's not like something was gonna leak or something, but with the same time, well, if it just falls down, right, it's going to be an issue. I'll have to work to get it attached back. But anyway, I'll check what's happening with my tank sealant. I never actually questioned about what the real lifespan of the tank sealant. I know that there is expiration date on it, but I assume it's when you store it at room temperature. But what about fridge, like 0 degrees, for example? Like I have a little fridge here, where my tank sealant sits for a long time, so it's interesting. Anyway, that's a plan. Another plan is to actually install the flaps position sensor. Yeah, I have it actually. I totally forgot. I bought one from Vans, this kit. So I was like recently looking into the internet, looking how people made their flaps position sensors. I found it's pretty easy using some from one known manufacturer, like those position sensors. And after that I knew Vans obviously selling it. And I opened one of my boxes and I found it, and I said, hell, I have to better take care of my inventory. I totally forgot I bought it. So yeah, I have the flaps position sensor, which I plan to install in this video as well. Next, what I plan to do is I plan to finish with the aluminum pipes for the switch, for the fuel tank switch, to tight everything, to get everything ready. I have my fuel meter installed sensor, which I need to attach 3 wires to and connectors. So yeah, that's gonna be a plenty of work in this video. And of course my inspection is coming, so I need to make sure that everything is ready. And that's basically to go and do my own inspection of every single rivet before. That's a plan for this video. Less talking, more working. Let's start. So the first thing I decided to do is to make actually a new battery mount. Original Vans RV10 mount for battery comes like that for a single battery. Don't remember the model, but anyway, that model is quite expensive and probably not that easy to get nowadays. I decided to use for my build 2 standard size batteries. Those are 680s, PC 680s. They're common size. I guess it's about 3 by 7 inches. I mean the dimensions. And I decided to install 2 batteries. There is no single answer why I want to have 2 batteries, but well, it's gonna be and backup and many other purposes, and in the future I can install also the lithium batteries instead of those 2, which are the same size. But I want to have 2 batteries. Despite they're gonna work most of the time in parallel for now, I have a way, like a room, to improve my design and to have, well, them separated, right? If I go with fully electronic ignition, for example, where I need 2 separate electric fuel pumps and so on. So anyway, first I would like to modify my battery box to allow dual battery installation. So I have some hardware here, I have some aluminum angles, I have some piece of aluminum here, and yeah, that's the plan for now. So our battery box will look exactly as you can see. I have prepared all the hardware parts. Just haven't primed it yet. Waiting for my primer to arrive, and yeah, I'm waiting for the release. I will show you a finished product right after I'm done with the battery box. But, well, it looks quite promising to me. Well, I just realized that my firewall will soon be full of, well, wires. Thus, I'm planning to start the wiring very soon. So it's going to be electrical wires here. It's going to be like those pins for the connection, like all kind of stuff. And if I don't insulate it now with the heat shield, it's going to be way more harder to make it later time. So I decided to use that heat shield for the firewalls, that one which racers are using. Well, it's quite good characteristics, you can check online, but I'm just following the advice of other RV builders, so that's what I'm planning to use. There is some glue, like it's kind of, there is a glue which will stick to the surface, but obviously with the high temperatures this glue will go to nowhere, right? It will just melt down. But because I plan to apply it on the firewall, and on top of it I'm gonna have lots of those little tiny things attached, I'm sure it's just gonna hold it. I mean, like for example, the one for the brakes, it has two bolts here, it's gonna hold it. On the other side I'm gonna have the pole for the positive battery connection, again is gonna hold it. So basically it should hold well. Yeah, that's my plan for now, so I'm starting to pre-cut it. Ну давай, расправляй потихонечку, а я буду смотреть. Так, стоп, стоп, не, так не делай, сейчас ты испортишь, потому что, к сожалению, мы должны найти, где нужно подрезать. То есть вот это вот мы вот так вот ее вкладываем. А теперь мы смотрим, подержи ножик. Теперь мы смотрим, где нужно подрезать. Так, давай мы станем. У тебя где нужно подрезать. О, вот теперь мне нужны. Теперь, Маш, смотри, Маш, вот тут сейчас будешь. So while my battery box is outside and it's primed and it's, well, basically it's drying out, I got some stuff here I just received, right? So that's I'm gonna be using for firewall pass-through. Now those will be used, those two are for the overhead console air. Okay, that's a terminal protection. I'm missing some connectors here, and I'm trying to work out with the seller. I received actually only the inserts, but no connectors. That's my positive terminal for firewall. Some connectors. This is 70 amp. I plan to install 70 amp alternators, so 70 amp circuit breaker. That's for the firewall installation. Those are my ground tabs. Okay, now this again, that's a receipt by mistake. Those are Sika Flex. That's what I'm going to be using for my windows. Yeah, that's exactly what I plan to use for my windows. Those are relays. This will go to on the firewall, and those will go for battery, and this one, well, I guess it's spare because I only have two batteries. I need just two relays and a little bit more primer. So yeah, I got more stuff. Oh right, and also I have yeah, that's different, red silicone. And that red silicone, actually my plan is to use right in here in those corners. So I don't want to use here tank sealant, but I plan to use here the red silicone to cover that because it's a high temperature. So that's our main battery power pole, or pass-through firewall pole, whatever you call it, which is going to be installed from inside, right? But because the firewall itself is kind of thin metal, we cannot really just attach it to firewall. So what we do is we do a doubler. That's really important. I mean, if you plan to do anything through the firewall and you only have like a firewall metal, keep in mind it's kind of thin and it's not good to do like that. So you have to use some sort of a doubler. So I made a simple doubler out of aluminum. It's going to be riveted on 4 rivets here, plus it's going to be attached on 2 additional bolts. So maybe again it's overkill, but who cares? I mean, the rivets, they don't have that much weight, right? So it's gonna be installed from inside like that, and we're gonna have our pole like that. So, and doubler gonna be inside, obviously, in this configuration. Yeah, so it's just from inside. Yeah, that's gonna be like that. So for those of you who are planning to install your control quadrant in non-standard location, like standard location for vans, let's say it's basically the shotgun style ones, and yeah. So if you plan to have anything else, you, like me, will likely exclude that from finish kit for RV10. And you will need different cables. So I got my cables, my set of new control cables from California Push-Pull. It's known manufacturer, and yeah, I got it from forums, but just received my package. It's not that expensive, it's actually well priced. I got my 3 mic cables, which is throttle, prop, and mixture, for my Air Sport console. which I haven't yet received. But anyway, so that just would like to share with you. That's that the California push-pull company called, and well, they delivered it very quick. Like I ordered it, and in 3 days or in 2 days they shipped. And as I said, price was good. Well, it moves really nice. So can't wait until I get my center console from Aerosport, so I can try to see how it's gonna look there. Anyway, that's just a quick update for you. Alright, so my firewall started to get some parts on it. So first of all, it's this protection which I applied to firewall, not everywhere yet because I haven't riveted the top side. So that's basically to keep the temperature down, to cool down the inner side of the firewall, the other side. Okay, I have a starter relay here. I have a circuit breaker which is 70 amp. For the alternator. The idea is to have the circuit breaker here. Well, because if it fails, I mean, I was thinking to put the one which can recycle, like recycling one, the one which I can cycle. But I decided to put 70 amp one here also, or only one for the alternator. That's my positive. From here comes true. I will put some protection on wires here. And yeah, well, I used some red silicone to cover those gaps. Here, this part is not covered yet with the protective. And now we come closer to those flanges. So, well, as you could see, that's basically the pass-through for the firewalls. Those are inside 3/4. I thought I was evaluating one. I was looking at one from Aircraft Spruce. It's about $160 for pair, something like that. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 180. So the idea is that we need to have some steel flange here, and probably from the other side as well, to create a nice, good pass-through the firewall. And why we need this flange? Because we plan to use the fire slave. That's important moment. But I start to do the search for the flange, steel flange, on eBay, and it came to me like that I can buy, I think $5 each or something, steel flanges which are used to hang the rod in your closet. So basically inside of your closet, to hold that rod where you put your belongings, like wherever your suits on. So those are two flanges which attach to the wall on the sides, and they are actually made out of steel. So I was surprised. I bought those flanges to try. They're 3/4 inside, and they work just perfectly fine. And this is really steel because I cut. And when I was cutting, well, you can see definitely it's not aluminum, it's a steel. I realized that I think I might be reading about it. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think someone on WAF Air Force forums was telling about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I don't feel I invented something new, probably that was known, but that's my way, how I found it. So the idea is to have something out of steel, including the bolts, what can sustain the higher temperatures than aluminum, because obviously if I have a fire in the compartment, it's going to be not good. We have to land as soon as possible, but we have very high temperature here. Now, I have two options. I can either use the fire sleeve inside, like pass through, and pass wires through and use the metal clamps, like steel clamps, or I can use Firewall on top of the thing basically, and yeah, like that. And in that case, this sorry, not Firewall, but fire sleeve. So I can probably put it like that and use the steel clamp here, like spruce cells, and another clamp here after wires are out. I don't know yet how I'm gonna use. More importantly, the location where I place those two. So here is the rivet line, and here is the rivet line for the top part. So I put them inside of that rivet line, 4 inches from top and 4 inches from rivet line. So my center is 4 inches from rivet line, 4 inches from top here. I estimated that would be the ideal position in my case, considering what kind of wiring I plan to pass and where I plan to use that wiring. Like this side and this side, it's going to have different wiring. Like on this side it's going to have more sensors, while here it's more like control things. So yeah, and this whole original one, this opening, oh no, sorry, this one is for the brake fluid. This one I will just close with the piece of steel, and I will cover it. I'll close it completely, because I'm not planning to use it unless, I don't know, something goes differently. But for now, those two should be totally enough for me. They will be removed before I rivet the thing, and after I attach permanently my fire protection, like this temperature protection, I will reattach them. And important to know, to understand that we must use steel bolts. Like for example, my relay is now temporary on regular standard aluminum bolts, but it must be on steel ones, so I will replace that. Like we must use as more steel bolts here as possible. Well, considering temperature, I think like we're gonna have in case of something goes wrong, we're gonna have a high temperature here. From other point of view, all our rivets which hold this particular firewall are aluminum, so maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's overkill, but I prefer to use steel on steel. So that's the plan for now. That's how it goes. I'll show you how it looks inside right now. So basically that's how it looks here, and that's how it looks here. And look, it's longer here. Like this flange is longer here. That's original length of the flange, and this is the flange I cut almost a half. Like on this side, I don't need a long flange. As long as I can clamp it here and clamp it like really good, it should be just fine. And on this side, I need a longer flange. Why? Well, to be honest, no specific reason. I was maybe too lazy to cut it, but technically here, nothing going to be attached to the firewall from inside in terms of the electronic components, so wires will probably go in this area, so it's fine. It's going to be just fine. And yeah, make sure you don't have any sharp angles inside, because obviously your wires, they won't be happy if they're going to be just cut by the side of this. So that's how it goes now.